Welcome to First Issues. While we are a business magazine program, every so often we will cover topics that may seem unrelated. But in the grand scheme of things, they do indeed affect business.
One such matter is our health, a subject that pharmacologist and consultant cardiologist Dr. Kiran Bhagat is ever ready to share his expertise on. On this segment, the good doctor will be speaking on yet another recurrent topic, obesity, a disease that is rapidly threatening the global economy.
The World Obesity Federation estimates that the global economic impact of obesity will surpass $4 trillion by 2035. Researchers have identified both direct and indirect economic costs associated with obesity. The direct costs come from treating obesity and its comorbidities.
The indirect costs of obesity on the economy, on the other hand, are harder to measure accurately. Nonetheless, productivity costs constitute the major indirect costs associated with the disease. Productivity costs include absenteeism and presenteeism, as well as premature mortality, loss of quality-adjusted life years, and higher rates of disability benefit payments.
According to an article by the George Washington University, researchers predict that over half of the global population will be overweight or obese in the next 12 years if there's no shift to effective prevention, treatment, and support for obesity.
This is where Dr. Bhagat comes in to clearly articulate facts on this disease and the options available to patients seeking treatment.
Doctor, thank you so much for coming on First Issues and affording us your time. We're now talking about obesity and the concern that it's now become an epidemic, right? What are the leading contributors to obesity, or this rise in the rates of obesity, and how have these factors evolved over the last few decades?
Obesity is actually one of the biggest pandemics that we have. It is the new cancer on the block. It is something that has been growing globally, not only in resource-wealthy countries, but actually, unfortunately, in resource-poor countries for a number of reasons. The factors that underlie the growing obesity are complicated, but they are basically last biological and first environmental. It's the environment in which we live in a modern country, in an urbanized situation where more and more people are coming to the city. It's a sedentary population where we're sitting and we're not burning off the food that we're eating. It is the fact that we are faced with hugely powerful food industries which are literally feeding nations garbage, highly processed, excess caloried, poor oils and fats because they're convenient.
You mentioned that we've now become a very sedentary population, but it has been something that we've been observing, that a lot more people actually are exercising. People are trying to eat a bit healthier, but that still is not combating the increase in the rate of the prevalence of obesity. So why do you think that is?
So that is what is happening, that people are exercising, people are following what we call dietary principles and lifestyle, and it's not sustainable. We've all heard of people following a coffee diet or a cabbage diet or a soup diet, and any diet will work whilst you take it. But the problem is it's not sustainable. And we have a beverage industry that is literally selling us sugar. No matter how much you exercise, it's impossible. A 30-minute run on a treadmill is probably the equivalent of half a lunch bar.
But then if we don't address this, what are the possible complications that may arise, and perhaps the socio-economic burdens that may arise from that?
So the complications of obesity that arise are multiple fold. I mean, the leading one is the one that's probably going to take the world and drown the world in a few decades' time, and that is diabetes. With diabetes comes the fateful alliance between diabetes and heart disease. So diabetics who have heart disease, who have heart attack, who have stroke. We know that obesity is associated with breast cancer, with bowel cancer. We know that obesity is associated, because you're so heavy, with arthritis. I mean, obesity is associated with depression, because you drop your impression of yourself. You know, you're shy to go out, you stay at home, you don't socialize, you get depressed, you eat more as comfort. So these are multiple fold interactions between obesity and all the complications that we see today.
Next time, Dr. Bhagat discusses treatment options for this disease. For now though, stay tuned to First Issues.